Good evening, everybody. In my quest to expand this channel, been doing some serious thinking along with my dieting yesterday and for a while now, getting close to where I want to be. But I got a supplement to talk about too because it's just that awesome, but not right now. Decided to start a new playlist on this channel, being the Sigma INFJ I am, and my reputation among those I know to say things others can't. I decided I'm gonna start making videos about that. So I'm gonna start doing videos on controversial subjects that are gonna piss a lot of people off, but it's just, you know, a Sigma INFJ telling the truth, and it's gonna vary from topic to topic because I'm gonna manage to piss everybody off on this. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with this channel, you should subscribe to it because YouTube's about independent content, and I'm just some nobody with a ring light and a microphone and an iPad doing this. I have no team. I am my team, and you know, we should support channels like mine. Never mind, I don't really know what I'm doing, but you know, not corporate sponsored and basically YouTube TV and where it's all censored and you speak the establishment approved corporatist, fall in line behind the boomer agenda narrative. So yeah, gonna talk about some controversial stuff from time to time. It'll be in a new playlist, and we're gonna start with this one: how groupthink is ruining relationships. Ah, yes, groupthink, my nemesis, the nemesis of INFJs and Sigmas, and people that are truly empowered and independent. Because, you know, if you're empowered and independent, you know who you are, what you want, and what you're after. But will you sacrifice that and be miserable to win the approval of the group? The INFJ won't. Neither will the Lilithan witch, because our whole ideology is based on Lilith and how she chose exile over submission and was forced out of literal paradise, wandered the desert alone, and then they attempted to drag her back. 3 archangels and she fought them off. Can't get much more badass than that. So, and then her whole transcendence into a demon, the first person to achieve godhood, which is the ultimate goal of the left-hand path. That's right, a woman did it first. Now she's our queen. That'll be another topic. How, no, sorry ladies, you're not all queens. Nobody's born a queen. You have to become one. And I suggest if you really want to be one, you think about why you want that responsibility, and you look into the path of Lilith and what it takes to become a queen, because it's not easy or fun. You know, power and influence is cool, but the reason why you want power and influence is important. And also for most people, at least people that would have power and influence in a positive manner, it is very difficult to obtain. People that get it easily is usually through nepotism and cronyism, which is essentially good old boys club, and they're very invested in maintaining a corrupt status quo because they've obviously benefited from that status quo and got what they got solely of who they were born to, which is un-American when you think about it, because we kind of had that war. You know, we didn't want taxation without representation or an aristocracy, because at that time the House of Lords was pretty much all hereditary peers. And you know, that Washington guy that we venerate so much, he could have been king and he turned it down. Yeah, he turned it down. And also decided to leave office after 2 terms because, contrary to popular belief, term limits didn't exist until after my favorite president, FDR. And that was the Republicans had to ensure that, you know, a democratic socialist could never become president again because the people liked him so much they made him president until he died. So they invented term limits after FDR had 4 terms. Well, it was actually after Truman, because Truman was the vice president, finished his 4th term, and then was elected the one of his own. But I digress. Back to the topic at hand. Sidebar over for now. So, one of the biggest struggles for young people, and by young I mean like younger than a baby boomer, you know, Gen X and younger, is relationships. More so when you get millennial and younger, because social media plays a big part in this. But people aren't, especially in our post-COVID world, people aren't meeting the way they used to. Deep connections aren't being formed. Big problem for someone like me, you know, as a demisexual, gotta have that deep emotional connection. Otherwise, I have no interest. The idea of one-night stands and casual flings bear no interest to me. Yes, I know, very weird, especially considering the industry I work in, but it's true. And I turn them down. I did back in the day. I do now. So, but, yeah. We have this, sorry, leg cramp. We have this, this new culture where most relationships typically begin as situationships, which are largely toxic. Now, how does a situationship usually form? In its most basic component, a situationship isn't because you find someone that you like, that you have that emotional connection with, that you want to spend time with. It's right place, right time, right? So you're working all the time. It's the most common one. You're relatively relegated, there we go, to the people you work with. You could be, I've been in this situation, you're working 7 days a week. All you do is work, and you go out for drinks with the people you work with. Yes, the story of my 20s. Don't work in golf course maintenance. You'll work all the time and make nothing. You might as well join the Scientology Sea Org. And you live on the property. Yeah. So, you're associating with these people because you're around them all the time. And, you know, because of your situation, you aren't able to really interact with, like, your true friends, people who truly understand you. You are mainly with people that, let's be honest, are work friends. You get along with them in a professional setting because in a way you have to interact with these people. You have to work as a team professionally. And then that spills over into a social function, which you're probably talking about work and work drama and cliques forms and all that. And oh my God, it becomes like high school. But, so you're in that situation, you're in your 20s. And as I said, the cliques form. So now, chatter talks. There's flirtations with people at work. People say who they like, who they're attracted to. And then the usually queen bees who see themselves as the leader of the group. This is usually somebody with the mindset that, you know, I am the shit because I was popular in high school, and I'm still the shit because I was popular in high school and I never left that town, and high school's forever. At least that's how it works where I grew up. But this person then typically tries to act as if they have the say of who dates who, you know, amongst the people in this work circle that are all working long hours together and hanging out together outside of work, drinks and stuff. Again, usually 20-somethings, maybe early 30s. And if you're of the more introverted persuasion, you're not, you know, the alpha, beat your chest, I'm the boss because I say I'm the boss, and I have this narcissistic need to be the boss of everybody and be acknowledged as that because that's how I get my validation. You know, you kind of mind your own business, but it keeps going on. This person keeps pushing you to be romantically involved with somebody that you're really not interested in. Like, let's be honest, in a situationship, how many of you that were involved in one would have pursued this person at all if you weren't working together, if you weren't constantly around this person and really, you know, unable or extremely hard to meet and socialize with people outside of this circle? So the situationship ensues. The emotional connection's never there. But now you feel obligated because this group, this work group, is now your whole circle. And they're the only people you see, the only people you interact with. This is very common amongst people in the entertainment industry, particularly those that travel a lot for jobs in the entertainment industry, particularly those that aren't making a lot of money. There's a misconception everybody in the entertainment business makes a lot of money. Not really. A lot are happy to just make a living, you know, go to this city, you walk a runway, $2,000, this city, $2,000, photo shoot here, $2,000, maybe a small role in some indie film, $2,000, but you're constantly on the move. And you're constantly only surrounded by people in the business. And it's cutthroat because a lot of people are trying to, make it to that upper echelon, to which is extremely hard to do so, particularly if you're not connected to the right people. That aside, in any work situationship, that queen bee is usually also someone who's a supervisor. So this person pushing you into this relationship, this situationship that you don't want, is also your supervisor. So now you think, well, if I don't go along with what the boss wants, they feel like they're my boss outside of work too. If I don't go along with it, this could affect my job in terms of job assignments, raises, promotions, things of that nature. So it almost becomes like an obligation. It is, in my opinion, which is usually right, a form of coercive control, which is a narcissistic tactic. So that's doomed from the start. These situationships usually don't last more than 6 months, maybe up to a year, maybe, and that's a big maybe, up to a year. And they always end badly. It's an awkward breakup. It's awkward as hell because you work with this person every day. And also in these tight-knit work circles, since you've been only associating with primarily these people, they know things about you. They know everything. And people at work talk and gossip. So everybody knows the ins and outs of that situationship, of your interactions with that person you didn't really want to be with, and all your private predilections, let's just say, are now common knowledge and constantly being talked about. It's not healthy. It's not. And the reason for that long explanation is, think about how really unhealthy it is to get involved with somebody that you really didn't want to get involved with, but you feel obligated to for the sake of not being exiled from a group. So now what the group is telling you to do, mainly the leader of that group, controls your whole life. They control you at work with your assignments. They control if you get promoted. They control if you get a raise. And now they're controlling who you date and are sexually intimate with. Sounds like this group controls your entire life. So where do you get what you want? And this may not even be your dream job. You just, maybe a bad economy and you got to pay the bills. So I became an assistant golf course superintendent. So you may not even have this driving force to succeed in this industry at all costs, where something where you'll put up with mistreatment, stuff like bullying and hazing like I did in the fire department because it was my dream. You'll lose yourself. You'll lose yourself if you get completely caught up in groupthink. Okay? It's one thing to put up with cliques and drama at work on the clock. It's another thing when these people run your life off the clock too. So now you have no sense of self. Now you're never pursuing what's important to you, who you are and what you want. And that is, and needs to be, the utmost importance in terms of your romantic endeavors. You, assuming you know what you want, which at a certain age you do. I've known since I was 12. It hasn't changed. I'm an INFJ. I've been looking for my soulmate since I was 12. I know what my type is. Sucks for me. There's not many of them. Well, I do encounter them, but sadly at 36, the women that are my type, a lot of them tended to have married like 10 years ago, and they were not single since like the age of 20. So, yeah. Never really, it's very rare that I encounter one that isn't single, or in this case, at this point, unmarried even. So, when you are seeking a romantic connection, all that should matter is what you are looking for and how you feel about that person, how the other person feels about you, and is that deep emotional connection there? What other people think, what the group thinks, should mean nothing. The relationship is between the two of you. A lot of times in these toxic work environments, the queen bee, it can be a guy too, but it's usually, I'm going to be I said I'd be brutally honest. It's usually a female that most would describe as average attractiveness and, somewhat overweight. I'm not talking morbidly obese, but, not someone who follows a diet or goes to the gym kind of thing. And probably somebody who was deemed a lot prettier as a teenager in high school. Perhaps this person was involved in sports back then and exercise, and now they don't because all they do is go to the bar and eat bar food and drink, and yeah, that'll put the weight on you. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. I was heavier when I used to go to the bar all the time. I was 15 pounds heavier, when I used to drink beer like every day. So this person's miserable, this queen bee. They're not getting the attention they used to get. They're not putting in any effort into themselves. They still see themselves as, the prom queen, which at 25 nobody cares about, or at least they shouldn't. But they don't get that. To them, that's forever. And this, forgive me if, I'm using this as an example, this might be a problem regional to where I'm from. I'm sure it's certainly more of a problem here because there is this obsession with high school culture where I grew up. And it's baby boomer driven, ironically. But this person may feel like they're still entitled to that sense of leadership because high school's the most important thing in the world. And they're not getting the attention they used to get. They don't have the status they used to have. And if somebody else who they deem lesser than them is from somebody that they deem as the high-valued guy, they can't have that. So they're going to try to intervene in, that connection that this other woman that they think is lesser than them and the guy that she wants. The queen bee is going to stop that because she's miserable, so you must be miserable, because if the queen bee's miserable, everybody must be miserable because she gets whatever she wants first and distributes crumbs to her underlings. Got it? And you see this with guys too. It's rarer where you'll get like the, like lead dude bro, getting in between other guys and women that they have a real connection with. I've seen it. It's more rare. I haven't seen it in a long time. It tends to be more of a frat bro kind of thing, but it does happen. I have seen it. So yeah, be aware of that. Be aware of what you want, and remember to think to yourself, why do I care about the approval of this group, at least outside of work? They don't have any right to tell me what to do off the clock, or they don't have any right to tell you what to do about your personal life regardless, and if they try to, you got them. It's 2023. You can report them. And that's the other thing. A lot of queen bees, they'll be in supervisory positions that they're not really qualified for, and no, they didn't, you're going to yell at me and be like, oh, well, you're saying they got promoted because they're women. No. The queen bees that I've encountered, they're essentially female good old boys. They got promoted through nepotism and cronyism, same as a good old boy. They're usually, at least the ones I've known, usually daughters of good old boys. Like they'll be the daughter of some, like connected country boy in some small town, more times than not. So it's something to be aware of. They have this entitlement to tell people what to do. They see themselves as better than all, not based on anything they did, or not based on any ability they have, or work ethic, or intelligence, or merit, just solely based on who they are. Like, well, my dad did this, and this, and this, and this. Okay, well, that's him. He's not you, you're not him. I use this example all the time, but let's say, your dad, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, your dad is like the greatest detective that ever lived. Doesn't mean you're a great detective, and it certainly doesn't mean that, he like lays hands on your shoulders and you absorb all his knowledge and experiences 30 years as a police officer. It doesn't work that way. If you were to earn your spot in a police academy and go through, you are then a rookie cop like anybody else. You are not a 30-year veteran. Just because somebody with the same last name as you has experience doesn't mean anything about you. So beware. The queen bee would most likely be jealous whenever somebody else that they deem lesser than them is getting something that they want that they don't have. They get that if I can't have it, nobody can attitude, and they'll try to intervene. They'll use guilt tactics. A lot of times, in my experience, the queen bees are usually covert narcs. They're usually covert narcs. I've done a video that's pretty good, I think. People seem to like it, about the signs of a covert narc. It's important to watch because coverts can fly under the radar a lot of the time, or at least for a long period of time. You know, you can't, borderline or an overt narc, you can usually spot within 10 minutes. They can't hide what they are. Coverts can, like, make fun of themselves and try to put themselves down, and they can almost fake empathy. You know, they try to play as fake empaths. Like, they always want the center of attention, but they try to play off as if they're helping somebody else. I mean, they'll flip that onto themselves and then always say about how they have it worse. But they can fool some people, and they can fool a lot of people for at least a moderate amount of time. Borderline can't fool nobody. Nobody. Borderline's like a rabid dog. You know what you're dealing with. You know what they are. They're all chaos all the time. They can't hold it together for more than 5 minutes. But a lot of covert narcs, especially in like larger groups, in a work group, will have like a borderline attack dog as like their first mate, their right-hand man. And that can be dangerous because the covert narc, queen bee, will show the borderline favoritism, feed the borderline supply, and the borderline will feed the covert narc supply, and the borderline will do the dirty work of the covert narc, so the covert narc can kind of keep their hands clean. It's a symbiosis going on there, and it's a dangerous ecosystem. It's dangerous. So be aware of that. A takeaway from this video, above all else, is to remember that your relationships are your business, what your preferences are, why you have a connection to somebody, why you want to date somebody is up to you. Now, obviously, if people around you have serious red flags, you have to pay attention to them. Like, he beat his last girlfriend, he's an alcoholic, he has a gambling problem, things like that. But I'm talking specifically in this video about when the queen bee will try to break up a relationship based solely on the idea of he's not part of our group. Like, basically, he doesn't fall in line, but he doesn't acknowledge me as the queen of everything. Like, he's kind of a loner and off doing what he wants and doesn't listen to me, and I decide how all of your lives run in and out of work. And this is true even if, okay, I am speaking from personal experience, and this is even true, like, queen bee will do this not only to her underlings, but she'll try to act as if she's the queen of everything to people in other departments, and not just like worker levels, like even like supervisors in other departments, like her equal. That was my situation. Like, I had the deal at my old job last year with this queen bee. She was a supervisor and I was a supervisor. We worked in the same broad company, but in different departments. They were considered different companies on the paychecks. It was a tax thing, but it's like we were at equal levels. I mean, obviously, her underlings didn't report to me. Mine didn't report to her. She was a supervisor in a restaurant. I was a supervisor on a golf course. But yeah, she acted as if like, oh, well, I'm a supervisor. I'm like, yeah, so am I. Like, she's like, well, no, I'm in the restaurant though. I'm like, okay, I supervise outside operations on the golf course. Like, it's, I'm just the guy in charge of the bag boys. Like, you don't tell the bag boys what to do. I do, or the head pro who I reported to. And no, she just decided that, she could order them around, and it became a problem. She literally would pull my guys from their workstations to run errands for her. And when I say my guys, because I would only have 2 at any given time, she would have like a dozen or more people, Like, a lot of times, because, we have this labor shortage, a lot of times it was just me and another guy doing the work of what 3 or 4 guys should have been doing. And then I'd be there by myself. So yes, the entitlement of the queen bee is epic. They know no bounds. They think they are infallible. They think whatever they say is truth because they say it. I mean, it's common with a narc, be it covert or overt. It doesn't really matter. But think deep about why this person is ordering you around. What do they gain from this keeping you in this group? You know, is the person that you're getting involved with someone who isn't a group follower? Is this person you're getting involved with someone who is actually trying to help you grow as a person and empower you as an individual to think for yourself and do what you want to do, whatever it may be, but just not blindly follow behind any given person, male or female, who asserts themselves as a leader and says, because I said so, which is the most childish thing anybody can say to back up an argument. It's like, because I said so. Well, who the fuck are you? You know, it's like, I don't see a crown, you know. It's like, the only person who can say to me, because I said so, and make me do something, you know, has horns and draconic wings, and yes, Lilith, I mean Lilith. But so be aware of that. Be aware situationships never end well. That groupthink has no place in your romantic endeavors of any kind. You know, keep in mind, if you truly have a connection with somebody, you don't know how long it's going to last. You just don't know. But if you're going to fall in line behind groupthink and kick that relationship to a curb for a job that, let's say, you don't even like, that's not even that good, it's just, you know, a paycheck for now while you're finishing school or getting certifications, or maybe you're in a civil service testing process that takes about 8 months, or you're working towards your CPA license or bar exam, whatever. The point of that is, this job could very well be temporary. Like, especially when I say job, it's a job. It's not a career. It's just a paycheck. Are you really going to be associating with these people when you leave that job? Now, I mean, the relationship may not last either, but you don't, you know, that you don't know. If I'm saying you see potential with this person, wouldn't you, especially if it's rare, if you see potential with somebody, wouldn't you want to explore that over appeasing a group of people that are mentally stuck in high school and have the entitlement of a baby boomer? So be aware. It's dangerous. It's toxic. Remember, you know, jobs, especially in this day and age, aren't forever. Groups of friends change, particularly if they're people you only know by situation, by proximity. Be aware of that. And please subscribe if you haven't. Like and comment below. I will work on my brevity with keeping these videos shorter, but I did have to give my little introduction since it's the first one of this playlist. Please support the channel if you can, because I make very little money doing this, and I am not a rich and famous model. I am just a model with an agency who gets jobs occasionally and is being taught how to act because the SAG union is on strike, so they need to push non-union people to act, and I was chosen. I don't know why. So yes, please support the channel, watch my older videos. Hopefully they're informative and they help you, and share these videos with anyone you deem that they would help, because that's why they exist. You know, if you like flash-free and pizzazz-free videos with just raw, uncut information. Yes, I know there's no pretty pictures or graphs to see, but on the plus side, you don't have to watch. My videos can be listened to solely, and you can multitask, like do your laundry or cook while you listen to them. So I do have that advantage. It doesn't require you to look at me. But if you do for too long, I might put a spell on you. No, I'm kidding. I have to be able to actually see your face to put a spell on you.